What's going on, folks? Wes Pruitt, 4 Star Sports Media, and you are sitting down at the sports buffet. Welcome in, have a seat. Be prepared for a plate full of sports. John is on some odd stuff tonight. You got to watch John. John is being very sneaky down there. John's about to be missing off the show if he keeps it
Yeah.
up. Blake Hogue from Hogs Happy Hour. Welcome in, man.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. It's going. John, what's going on, man?
It's going.
This man right here.
Man,
I'm gonna have to remove him from the scene and let him catch himself. There
I'm
we
happy
go.
the dogs are in the
All right,
playoffs,
John,
baby. Woo!
catch yourself up. Oh my gosh, here he goes. All right. All right. Blake, let's start. Let's start off just you and I. Let's let John catch himself up here.
okay.
Welcome in. Welcome to the show. We got lots to talk about. We got a very eventful championship weekend that we just witnessed all across college football. And we got some rankings that were unveiled today, the final rankings from the CFP. And we're going to talk about rankings and other things like that coming up. All right, let's see if John's composed. Lord knows he's not, but here we go. All right, John. What's
I
up,
miss
man?
you guys.
Oh my gosh. All right. All right. So let's start at the top of the slate here with a little 4 questions. And let's go with question number one. And that is, and I'll start with John on this one, John. What team stood out to you over the weekend in college football?
Let's do the Arizona State Sun Devils because they were missing their star receiver, but they were running the rock. So credit to Coach Dillingham for credit to him in a great game plan against Iowa State's run defense that's been struggling all year by running Scabadoo all night long, and they sure did show out.
What's his last name, John?
I call him Scabadoo. Well, they'll call him Scooby Doo because
Okay.
he's
It's Scabadoo. All right. Blake, I'll
Yeah.
skedaddle over to you there. What about you?
Yeah, I'll go with the Georgia Bulldogs because of Beck going out for that second half, and for them to come back and eventually win that game in overtime with Stockton at quarterback and ETN scoring those 2 touchdowns. Just shows that that unlike Florida State, Georgia could maybe win national championship with the backup quarterback.
Very interesting. And during as that game was transpiring all over social media, you saw, oh, you know what's going to happen. The committee, I mean, the man came back. Basically, he had one arm, and I mean, he turned around and made a handoff. And then he ran off the field. And was like, hey, one arm guy. Um, I think it's obviously his shoulder. I know Kirby said post game he couldn't grip the ball. In the locker room, I'm thinking probably Blake. I mean, am I right, Blake? Probably elbow is what I'm kind of thinking.
Yeah, elbow,
Something shoulder,
arm.
elbow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, somewhere in that range there of the body. Um, and it's probably something it'll take a couple weeks to get over, which is fine because they got a couple weeks before they play. Um, and we'll get into that here in a little bit when we talk about Bulldogs. My team's got to be Army. It's got to be Army. Just the way they dominated, but really they did what they've done all year long, and they do it to perfection. I mean, think about it, guys. The drive that ended the game was over a 10-minute drive with no passes. They only threw 2 passes the entire game. The first half, the defense of the team actually caught more passes than the offense. And now you see Army at now 11-1, 12-1, getting a chance to go play Navy this week in what's going to be a very exciting game that John and I'll get into starting tomorrow. But as we look at the weekend as a whole, John, what's a player that stood out to you over this weekend?
player.
Scooby Doo, right?
No, in a losing effort, I'm gonna give Penn State's running back
I knew
crew.
he was going to give it to Scaboo.
Nope. I'm gonna give it in a losing game. I know Penn State lost the game, but I'm gonna do the two running back combination between the quarterback, or not the quarterback, but Caton Allen and Nicholas Singleton for Penn State, about 24 carries combined for 200 plus yards on the ground for Penn State. I know they lost the game, but perfect game planning by James Franklin. And we talked about this. Penn State hired James Franklin hired a veteran coach and his offensive coordinator, and Coach Allen. So credit
Yep.
Penn State on a perfect game plan against Oregon. They only lose by 8 points, which I thought Oregon probably would have beat them by like 2 or 3 scores, just because I thought Oregon had the better receiving core and whatnot. So credit Penn State's running back crew for running over 297 rushing yards total in the game in that one.
Yep.
Yep. John gave it to a whole position room. Blake, what about you?
They
Um,
deserve it.
I'm going to go with the and
What was that?
again.
No, I said the Penn State running back crew definitely deserved it. Although they lost,
Yeah,
they definitely deserve some love.
yeah,
Very
true.
true.
I agree. Again, in a losing effort, and I'm gonna give it to I'm gonna give it to Jennings, the SMU quarterback. I was impressed with his fourth quarter play. You know, they clawed back into it and lost on a 56-yard field goal. So Jennings, he was a very highly recruited quarterback out of high school. But yeah, to see him play like he did, threw for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have that one interception, but again, I was just impressed with the way he plays.
No doubt. And sticking to the same game there, I got two guys actually. And yeah, I'm sorry, John. I know I said one player. I know. They're on the same team though. Cade Klubnik, quarterback for Clemson, 24-41, 262 through the air, 4 touchdowns. Key stat here: no interceptions on the day for Cade Klubnik. And then Bryant Wesco Jr., freshman number 12, wide receiver, 8 catches, 143, average of 17.9, and 2 touchdowns on the day. Those two combinations, as well as Antonio Williams, that's going to be something to watch in a Clemson team that don't sleep on them. And I'll talk about that here in a little bit. Um, but yeah, no, I think when you look all John, I'm shocked you didn't pick Scatterboo. I think when you look all across the landscape of college football, I mean, there's talented players everywhere, and a lot of that, John, has to do with NIL, transfer portal, right? Things of that nature. We're starting to see a little more of this talent spread out across the country. Before we get into a little more of the CFP and things like that, John, what's your thoughts on this? When you look at, as we're seeing players hit the portal left and right now, right? We're already seeing we're going to see opt outs for bowl games, things of
Mm-hmm.
that nature, John. But this is a chance that if I'm a player on that roster and I'm a freshman or sophomore or something like that, and I hadn't really touched the field, this is almost kind of like Cole Kubelik said earlier. This is almost like a spring game opportunity in a sense of you can really get your name out there for 2025. So, John, when you look at around the country, what are some types of players and things like that that you think are really going to take a step forward in these bowl games with bigger name guys sitting out?
The wide receiver room, because you got so many wide receivers that very well could option out in this game because they have a shot in the NFL in early rounds. Because I think this is one of the better rounds for the NFL draft regarding the receiving room. From top to bottom, I think it's probably one of the best ones we've had in so many years. But yeah, you can definitely see a lot of underclassmen now playing in these bowl games because think about it. No, they do have that rule, guys, right? Where I know if you have does your fourth game count for the bowl game or does it not count? I keep on
It
No,
does not.
It does not.
Think about it. Your fourth game could be the bowl game, or not the or your fifth game could be the bowl game, and you
Mhm.
definitely still cannot burn that red shirt. So that's good on the underclassmen in general, where they could actually see some action in these bowl games. So I'll do the receiving room.
No doubt, no doubt. Blake, I'm gonna start
Yeah.
calling John Mr. Clean. That boy's clean shaved over there
And-
too. Blake, what about you, man? When you look at around the country, what are some,
Mhm.
like John said, wide receivers? What are some
Mhm.
positions that you're really looking at?
I mean, I would look at, like you said, those freshmen, sophomores who probably didn't get a lot of playing time could finally
Mhm.
get some play on tape to, hey, if they want to transfer, they're like, hey, here's my tape against whoever, if they're speaking like Memphis versus West Virginia, they can put tape on against West Virginia. It's a bigger team, supposedly better athletes or whatever. So things like that, and also for the seniors who are maybe in that 6 to 7 draft, round draft grade, they could possibly improve their draft stock with a great bowl game. So it's kind of you kind of look at both sides of it, the young guys and the old guys get some film out there.
No doubt, no doubt, and that's a great point that you bring up, Blake. Is a lot of these fans around the country are not having with these bowl matchups and these teams that these teams are going against. But let's just be honest. If you're a player from Alabama, and we'll use Jalen Milrow for example, okay? If I'm an NFL scout, I'm not going to go look at tape against MTSU. I'm not going to go look at tape against Mercer. I'm going to go look at tape against Georgia. I'm going to go look at tape against Michigan, who they play in the bowl game. I'm going to go look at tape against Ole Miss, Oklahoma in the loss. Why did they only score 3 points? What did Oklahoma do from a defensive standpoint that really just stifled the tide? So it really behooves these players to participate in these games, especially if you want to make the jump to the next level, because this is more eyes on you. Uh, John, do you agree with what I'm saying there or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, they're not playing nobody in those regular season games. They want to see how you do against a Big Ten in the ACC matchup, because that's where the games matter the most, because your strength of schedule comes in factor in those games.
No doubt. Blake, what about you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I fully agree with what you're saying. Those scouts, they're like you said, they're not going to look at Mercer and Middle Tennessee and whoever else they play. They're going to look at the teams you struggled against and those big time matchups that you played in. And kind of like what Coach Sanders said at Colorado, his son, his son and Travis Hunter, he said they will play. Usually you see kind of the opt outs, but with him, he said they're not done with their job yet. So he wants them to play in the bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to him. Kudos to any coach that comes out and says that, and kudos to the players that want to stick it out with the brotherhood, with those guys who they've, blood, sweat, and tears throughout the season or seasons with them. John, now it's time to jump over to the CFP, man. So, if you will, give all the fans. I know that everyone already knows, but give everyone the CFP rankings that were unveiled earlier today, John.
All right, number one, Oregon. Two, Georgia. Three, Boise State. Four, Arizona State. So let me just stop right there. I think they all got it right real quick on that top four. Number five, Texas. Six, Penn State. Seven, Notre Dame. Eight, Ohio State. Nine, Tennessee. 10, it was, where my mind go? Hang on. 10, Indiana. 11, SMU. And then 12, Clemson. And then the list
All right,
goes
John.
on and on. First two out,
Right,
Alabama and Miami.
right. So, by the way, shout out Brett McMurphy. I was going to be honest with y'all.
He ruined it.
He didn't ruin anything. Brett
No.
didn't ruin a damn thing.
I know. I'm just talking about Mike. He got the
I
breaking
mean,
news.
and to your point, John, numerous people said that. He
Right.
did not ruin it. If anything, if I'm Ward Manuel, which is he's his last year with the committee, which we'll talk about that in a minute. But
Yeah.
if I'm Ward
Praise.
Manuel, I'm getting on the phone with everybody and I'm going, "Who the hell's the mole?" Because Brett put that out
15 minutes
well
before.
before,
Hmm.
well before that came out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I know Reese Davis made the statement that the graphics guy was the only guy that knew. So hey, get on the horn with that cat. See what he knew. Um, but when you look at these rankings, Blake, what's the first thing that really stands out to you?
Well, what stands out to me is I think for the first time in a long time that they finally got it correct. Um, I don't have any issue with any of the spots. 1 through 12. I think they're all deserving of the seed that they got. Clemson being in at 12, they were. If Syracuse didn't win their last game, they wouldn't have had the opportunity. So I think them being at 12 is justifiable. So I don't for once I don't have any complaints of the rankings. I only complaint I have is how they justify strength of record, strength of schedule, doing all that, how they do it, but according to their model, I think it's correct.
Okay, all right. John, what about you?
Yeah, the only downside I really have is I really thought Notre Dame would have been at 6 over Penn State because I know they only lost one bad loss was Northern Illinois, but one loss is one loss, right? So
Yeah.
Notre Dame being a 7 seed kind of surprised me, although I thought they would be a 6. Um, Maybe Tennessee and Ohio State could have flip flopped, but this day and age, I guess Ohio State. I don't know, man. Like I'm still surprised that Ohio State only dropped so many spots after that loss to Michigan, while Georgia lost to Ole Miss and they dropped 9 spots. So I'm
Yeah.
still kind of shocked by that in a way, but I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see how they do match up going forward, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting playoff. I love the time slots on these games a little bit because you might see a little bit of different participants.
Mhm.
Like the weather might be in factor on some of these games. Like the Ohio State Tennessee game could be in the 20s for all we know, and maybe some snow on the ground. So
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's definitely going to be a factor. I mean, when
Oh yeah.
you look at Tennessee going to Columbus, Ohio, in the shoe. Um, it's flat freaking cold up there, buddy.
speaking of which, did y'all see where that Tennessee's only getting 3,500 tickets for that game?
Well, I'm not. I mean, it's a home game
I
for
know, but
Ohio
I
State.
thought it'd be at least maybe like 8 to 10,000, maybe still.
No, they got. I mean,
That's
they've earned the right to play at home. They need to treat it like a true home game instead of a neutral site game.
But it's 100,000 seat stadium.
Well, I mean, they sell it out every weekend. I mean,
well.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
Tennessee fans, then it's pretty simple what you need to do, John.
Yeah.
Go on Ticketmaster, SeatGeek.
You who? Man, don't say that. Look, just go to SeatGeek
No,
because
I'm
when you
read
go
up,
there,
read
if
up,
you don't
read
know
up
when to
the
go, no, hold on,
Ticketmaster.
just hold on, just hold on, just hold on. When you go to SeatGeek, create a promo code. John's trying to just do ratchet
No.
stuff. All right, so when you go to SeatGeek, create a promo or create an account. When you do, SeatGeek gives you a rating of tickets, right? It gives you 1 to 10, as far as one being the best, or one being the worst, gives you a rating. Also gives you colors, green being the best, red being not. But in addition to that, we here at 4 Star Sports Media, we here at 4 Star have a way to save you money at SeatGeek, not no damn Ticketmaster. You go to Ticketmaster and type in 4 Star Sports Media, you ain't gonna get jack. You go to SeatGeek and type in 4 Star Sports Media, we'll save you $20 off your first ticket purchase. Don't listen to John Sturdivant and go to Ticketmaster. Go to SeatGeek now. Get you some tickets. Get you some tickets to these games coming up. And on that note, I'm gonna jump ahead of John real quick. And
I'll explain myself.
oh Lord, all right, go ahead.
Because right now the seats on average price right now the nosebleeds on SeatGeek are up to $600 on in the nosebleeds. Ticketmaster is going to have a deal right now without fees, $100 for Columbus. So that's one reason I'm bringing up Ticketmaster, just to help people out and save money regarding this before Christmas. That's all I'm trying to do.
I feel you. I feel you. Well, if the ticket's $600, we can knock it down to 580 for you. That
Yeah.
helps.
Right.
That helps. It's better than nothing, you know. So we've already kind of talked about we've already kind of talked about the first question is who is ranked too high, but John, the big conversation today was about SMU, who has two losses on the year, both of which are quote unquote top 25 losses. Um, and they both lost on last second field goals. And Alabama, who had three losses, plays in the SEC. I understand it. Hashtag means more. But I'll go back to my first. They have three losses, two of which came to unranked teams, quote unquote. Um, you'll understand why I'm doing the ranked quote thing here in a little bit. But you can't get drummed by Oklahoma. That's what got you not in the playoff, right? We talked about that a little bit earlier. Um, so there should be no complaints out of Tuscaloosa. Uh, I don't want to hear anything about it's a rebuild year. Greg Byrne, I don't want to hear your mouth talking about we're going to completely restructure how we do our non-conference. Oh, so instead of playing Mercer this year, you're probably going to line up. I'm guessing probably a William and Mary instead. I
Yeah.
guess is what you're going to
Yeah.
do. Because at the end of the
UAPB.
day, Greg, exactly, UAPB, Helen Keller, U.
Yeah.
I mean, Greg, at the end of the day, it's real simple. All of you, and I figure you know this as the athletic director. All of your losses, those three, they came to three teams inside your own conference. And if we're going to use the whole strength of schedule argument, the committee has said since week one, we talked about it last week, John? I feel like we talked about it on this show too. They Ward Manual said week one, they don't care what conference you're in. They don't look at the conference. They look at a resume throughout the entirety of the season in this week. This is the week that the entirety of the season is put to test. And that makes sense because I don't know, it's the last week of the season. I mean, and secondly, if they put Alabama in this playoff, no one's playing for a conference championship ever again the rest of the time. Period. It had nothing to do with the brand. It had everything to do with what it should be about: wins and losses. And while we're on that, John, I'm going to go ahead and get into my little ranked thing real quick. Sorry. Don't sit here and tell me that SMU does not have any ranked wins. When they played Pitt, Pitt was number 22 in the country. Did they win the game? Yes. That counts as what? That's a win, right? That's a win against a ranked team. And then when they beat Louisville, Louisville was ranked 18th in the country. That's another one. Because if we're gonna say, oh well, they weren't ranked at the end of the year, then why are we ranking them at all throughout the season? And while we're on the topic, can we just go ahead and do away with the preseason bullcrap, please? Please, let's just stop. Because that's what creates the issue that we had this year with Alabama. And everybody says, oh, well, look at Bama in the past. Listen to what Ward Manual said week one. We don't care about what happened last year, which is what the committee should have been doing the entire time. And to Blake's point and John's point, Ward even said it today. We did our job. We ranked the teams. That's all this committee was supposed to do. Let's not forget, it wasn't even the bracket. Let's not forget that, right? They just had to rank them. The bracket became its own thing with expansion. All the committee's job is to rank. So when you hear people like, "Oh, well, the SEC has 3 teams ranked higher than 12 Clemson," correct. Clemson checked the box of a conference championship. That's what sets them apart. And I love the people. Oh, how is Boise? How does Boise get a bye? Because Boise was ranked higher than number 17, technically speaking, Clemson. A lot of these questions, Blake, is it just me? And we can talk about this now, but
Yeah.
it, uh, am I just oversimplifying things, or does the committee not tell us what they were supposed to do all
Um,
year? And there's no sense
yeah.
in complaining about it now because they did their job.
Oh yeah, they did it, and this is coming from a SEC person. I don't. Bama did not deserve to be in a 12-team field. I mean, the you may yes, SMU has a weaker schedule, yes, but it's not the committee's job to determine who's the toughest conference. Their job is to rank them 1 through 25, and to have this top 12. I mean, just Bama, just don't lose to Vanderbilt or don't lose to Oklahoma. Like, it's pretty simple. I could care less you beat Georgia. Okay, Arkansas beat Tennessee. Should Arkansas be in the top 12? No. Just because you beat a
I
top
mean,
12
John,
team doesn't mean you need to be in there.
100%, 100%. I'm sorry for cutting you off there, Blake,
No,
but
you're good.
uh, John, I mean, if we're going to use the argument of, oh, we beat such and such, well, if that's the case, then how many people in the SEC besides Georgia and South Carolina have wins over a conference champion in, oh, that's right, Clemson? And then, secondly, John, what was the score of Alabama's game yesterday? I guess I missed that on the score. Did they play
Zero
in
to
their conference
zero.
championship game? Okay, that's
It's
that's
a
that's
tie.
that's what I thought. So yeah, it was a draw, right? So but that's my point. These
Yep.
teams earned the right to be where they are. You can't say it's not the most deserving 12 teams, right? That's not what the
Yeah.
kitty me is supposed to
hmm
do. They're supposed to
hmm
rank, and that's what they did.
hmm
And
Yeah.
last year, everybody was up in arms about who's number 4. Of course, this year it was who's number 11, number 12. And as we expand, it's going to be the same thing every
hmm
year. But to your point, to John's point, and John, I'm about to come to you now.
Mm-hmm.
Where can this playoff become better? And I ask this question because currently, the way the model is set up, first round games are hosted by home teams. In my opinion, once the expansion happens, first round, second round, if applicable, I understand there's bowl schedules and all that. But I would like to see the first 2 rounds, and I would like to see the top 4 teams or whatever they are. I would like to see them host a home game. You're one of the top teams in the country. Allow you and allow your fan base to soak in the energy. I mean, John, do you agree? Do you not? If you don't agree, it's fine.
Well, let me ask you this real quick. The first 4 teams in the second round got to choose where they get to play, right?
I mean,
Like,
I
do
don't
you
know if
remember that
there's.
statement or not?
I think
Not.
there's probably a little
Yeah.
bit of input, but I don't know that there's
I mean, I'm sure Arizona State was pushing for the Fiesta. Let me just say that.
a thousand
I
percent.
mean,
Right.
I
But
mean, but
okay. Well, the reason I'm asking this is because Georgia would be playing in the Sugar Bowl, correct? Right now
yes,
they're playing the
I
Sugar Bowl,
believe.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
Hmm.
why would they
yeah.
not choose Atlanta and have Arizona State travel from Arizona to Georgia? Why wouldn't Georgia choose Atlanta? Regarding that. But like you said, Wes, I would like to see the first two rounds as we had the home
Yeah.
playoff game. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
because yeah.
Georgia isn't a sugar
So
bowl.
basically, you would
So
think Georgia would get to play in Atlanta again, back to back,
mhm.
weeks per
Yeah,
se. But yeah, first two rounds, I think the first four should definitely have a home game, no matter what, in my opinion too. Or let's just say a 12 seed beats a five, and then the 12 beats the one, or somehow that happens. Maybe they get the host or something. Like if upsets
Yeah.
happen or whatever, maybe they get the host. The second round. Or I don't know. It's interesting. But the thing is
Well,
also, like, I see this not even staying at 12 teams in 2 years. I see it going to
oh no, no,
16,
no.
to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
100%. 16 is probably I think where we sit for a minute, but and the committee has said they're not going to re-rank teams, which is where John, I think that's where what you just talked about, where
Yeah.
teams, oh well, you lost, you're a higher, lower, then things change, things swap. Um,
Well,
Another thing I want to
let me
talk
say this
about. Go ahead.
about Alabama, though, real quick, because you brought up
Sure.
Alabama with Blake. Let me say this also.
Mhm.
Alabama's better. Like, I mean, Oklahoma, it's not their fault Oklahoma finished 6-6, and, Vanderbilt finishing 6-6 after so much high promise, throughout the year. But the thing is, I don't think Oklahoma should have still fired their offensive coordinator halfway through the season either, and maybe they would have got more wins under their belt in that first year in the SEC. But also, Alabama's 2025 schedule, they better hope some teams get their winning record. The reason I'm saying this is because they opened up the season at Florida State, Louisiana Monroe the second game, Wisconsin the third game, and then Eastern Illinois the fourth game. So the
Man, it's
first three
brutal non-conference. Holy
the
shit!
first three non-conference games are a combined 12 wins on this, or yeah, 12 wins on the 3 game schedule. While they lost so many 9, 15, and then they lost 22 losses. So 12 and
Yeah,
22 in your first three non-conference opponents next year. Better win some ball games next year for you
yeah,
even to make the playoff. Is why I'm saying that also.
yeah. And I will say, I think this is going to tone down the talk of the SEC going to 9 games. I think
Yes,
this is going to
I
make them
agree.
stay at 8.
I agree. And I think if you're the P4 non P4 teams, um, that's what you want because then that allows you to get on these team schedules more often. It allows you to be able to possibly go travel to a Tuscaloosa and take on a Alabama if you're a Louisiana Monroe or a Memphis, for example, or a Boise State, for example. Although obviously not too many people are going to want Boise State on their schedule right now, and
Mhm.
teams that have them on the upcoming schedule are probably a little upset that they scheduled them. But that's the other thing that factors into this, guys. Does the whole country change their schedule modeling? Because obviously we know what it's going to. You're going to the Power Two, right? It's going to be Big Ten, SEC, then everybody else is going to be freaking peons. But those two conferences just can't play each other all the time. I mean, I guess they could,
Yeah,
but it's not going to be fun. Um, I I think with like what you just talked about, Blake. I think if the SEC doesn't go to the 9 game, which I think is very very capable, um, I think it gives like teams like a Memphis. I mean, Memphis is coming over here in a couple years. Arkansas is coming over here, going to
mhm,
over there in a couple, next year. Um,
mhm,
these type of non-conference schedules, I think would be able to happen more often. What's your thoughts?
yeah, yeah. I do too. I don't. I think personally, I think the SEC needs to stay at 8, just because it gives Arkansas, or not just Arkansas, the SEC teams a chance to play a bigger opponent or another. Like Memphis is a you know, t- a top 2, top 3 in their conference. It gives Arkansas a chance to play a top opponent in another conference. So I
Yeah,
think but these schedules are made, so far in advance. These contracts, they're signed. They'll play a game now, and then the next game is 12 years later. So
yeah,
it's a lot of things that you need lawyers for if you're going to change it.
And
yeah.
you got,
And
and you also got to credit Boise though in the next couple of years by playing these teams like in Memphis, playing Appalachian State, playing a South Florida, playing a App Marshall type ball game because they could help them in your rankings also.
Yeah,
100%.
like
And
that.
John, oh, go ahead.
So that loss Boise had to Oregon probably helped them out the most.
True.
Oh, 100%. 100%. That's the best loss in the entire nation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really do believe it is.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you look at what Ashton Jeanty did to them, I, he ate them up. All right, John. Let's talking about all this, and a lot of this has to do with a little bit of conference alignment and the new conference alignment. So when you look at the last couple of years, John, you got Arizona State wins the Big 12 in the first year, right? This year, Marshall wins the Sun Belt in their second year in the conference. Oregon, quack quack, wins the Big 10 in their first year. SMU goes to the ACC championship in their first year. Texas goes to the SEC. I'm sorry, SEC championship in the
Mm-hmm.
first year. Texas. Army wins the American. Jacksonville State wins the CUSA in year two. All four power conferences had a first year member in their championship game. The American, Sun Belt, and CUSA all had first or second year members in their championship game. As much as people wanted to not like the idea of expansion, this stat right here tells me expansion is what we've needed the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would you agree, John?
Yeah, absolutely. I love. I mean, to be honest with you, I would credit a lot of teams also by handling how they handled the cross country trips this year too. I don't know what they did, but credit to like Oregon by doing pretty well from traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever they did, like nutrition wise, or even leaving Friday morning instead of Friday afternoon, credit these coaches and administrators and everybody on their staff by giving them plenty of time to handle a cross country road trip like they did as well this year.
Yep.
Blake, when you look at specifically the American, okay, we'll use Army for example as they are.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like I said the other day on my personal Facebook page for those of you who want to attack me, assholes. So, sorry, John. Uh, when you look at the American, right? Nobody in the country wants to play Army.
No.
I'll just say it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what they are. Are they boring? I don't think they are. A lot of people around the country think they are. But no one in this country in football wants to line up against Army because on the first quarter, you may feel okay. But
Mm-hmm.
by the time, John, that fourth quarter comes around and Army's sitting over there with their fours up in the air, exactly. You are breathing, you're hurting, it's all hurting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think let's just say Army was to make it. They would probably be the 12th seed and they would play Texas. So like would Army beat Texas? Possibly. I mean, don't know until they play. But that offense is hard to plan for. As in high school, we won a state championship running that offense, and then as a high school
Mm-hmm.
coach, game planning against that offense is not very fun. But giving teams time to game plan against that might be a disadvantage to Army. But yeah, I agree. Army's a team that you probably don't want to play.
No, not at all. John, who has the easiest road to the championship?
Is the easiest road. Wow, I just heard your
Yeah.
dog barking. By the way,
It's
um,
not. It's
Yeah,
not.
no,
Or not. It's
something
not the
went
best team.
something went
It's not
on
the.
downstairs. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
You're good. Go ahead.
okay, sorry about that. I just wanted to let you know. Uh,
Oh, whatever.
the easiest road, gosh, it's not Oregon. It's not.
No.
It's not maybe
Shit,
Georgia.
no.
Not Georgia, maybe, but Arizona State right now, maybe. Although the Clemson Ohio State or the Clemson Texas game, the second round or the first round winner, that the second round could very well be a toss up.
Yeah.
But Arizona State on top of my head, maybe. What about you, Blake?
Yeah. I would go Texas because they're playing the 12 seed Clemson, then they play Arizona State.
Right.
And now Arizona State's a conference champion, but they're the 4 seed. They're the lowest one there. So I would either say Texas or either Penn State as well, because Penn State's playing SMU, and then the next game is Boise State. So I think either of those paths. I don't know how to fix it to where the number one seed gets the easiest path, but you have seen. I mean, it's just kind of way the cards aligned up there to which Coach Lanning had a very good interview. He going, it's just college football. We're going to suit up and game plan and play whoever we have to play because of Oregon. Looking at them, they have the winner of the Tennessee Ohio State game, which they've already played Ohio State, which was probably one of the best games of the college football season. So yeah, I would either say Texas or probably Penn State would have the easiest path.
I mean,
All right, live broadcasting, folks. DoorDash knocked on my door. It was for my neighbor. Dogs are okay. They were down there pissed off. All right. Yeah, that guy was like, "Sorry, bro." I'm like, "This next door, my guy." My sorry.
hang on, man.
My
What?
easiest.
Hang on, man.
Sorry,
What
go ahead.
happened?
My neighbor ordered DoorDash. He
Are you
came to
sure
my
about
door
that?
first.
Are you sure about that?
I'm 100% positive. Yes.
You sure it wasn't for you?
It did say Jonathan. John, really? That's dirty, bro. All right.
Hey,
So,
good for you.
well, yeah.
It's for
Well,
your
they
neighbor
took it
now.
next door.
Hey,
Yeah,
now
it's for
hang
my
on.
neighbor
Now I'm
now.
getting hang on. Now I'm getting a phone call from DoorDash. The
Just
food
tell
was
him
for you.
to. Just
The food was for
you really
you.
did that, dude. That's freaking hilarious. Well, you
Hang
should
on,
have
I
put
just want
my
to
name
leave the
on it. That
door.
would have
Hang
been a
on.
lot. Yeah, tell him that I apologize that I didn't know. Holy crap! What is he doing? Um, you know what? There we go. How about that? All right, so we'll just do that.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
I was
what?
saying Texas,
Jesus.
Texas or Penn State to me has the easiest path.
Yes, 100%. I think when
Hmm.
you look at the bracket, I think Penn State's set up
Hmm.
probably for the most success. Um,
Yeah.
but you look at Texas, they still got to go through Oregon. But God,
Hmm.
poor Oregon. My
Yeah,
goodness, I feel
I
bad for
know.
those guys. I really do. I feel horrible for them. Almost as bad as I do for this DoorDash driver that thinks I am just an effing idiot. Um, uh, but you know, Blake, I'll go to you next.
Yeah,
What? Who do you think has? Obviously, we just talked about it, right? The
yeah,
toughest road has got to be Oregon. You would think,
yeah, which is crazy because they are the number one seed. They're the only
right?
undefeated team, and they have the hardest. I mean, they get the winner of Tennessee, Ohio State. They've already beat Ohio State, but you know, it's hard to beat a team twice. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
and
if
and
the
and here's the thing:
hmm
Tennessee's a tricky matchup for them. Very
yeah,
tricky.
yeah, and then they get either Clemson, Texas, or Arizona State. I mean, how's that fair? I don't know. And
It's not.
and there's no way to like fix it either. Like that's just kind of how it is.
Well, and I'm not trying to sit here and defend the
Hmm.
committee, which I
Hmm.
just got onto last week. But they did their job. Their job was not to say, okay, well, who's going to meet in the second round? Who's going to meet in the championship? Their job was simple, John. Not deliver a DoorDash, but rank them. That's what they did.
Yeah.
So, John, when you look at the committee and you look at the easiest road, toughest road, all that, Ward talked about that a little bit tonight, and he just said, "Look, guys, that really wasn't our job. Was to think about who's playing who. Our job was just to rank them. And John, they got it right. At the end of the day, they got it right. But we got some bowl games getting
Can I,
ready to
can I say
kick
this
off.
also? Can I say
Sure.
this also?
Yeah.
I think Blake
Mhm.
made a great point regarding Oregon, and you brought up a great point regarding Tennessee. Let's say Tennessee does beat Ohio State in Columbus. I think with Tennessee's running game, the way it's producing a 100-yard rusher and Dylan Sampson, I think Tennessee. I'm not saying Tennessee can beat Oregon, but I think Tennessee definitely has the better edge over Ohio State in that running game because Tennessee's got the better running back crew right now from top to bottom.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
Because it showed it against Ohio State
No
and
doubt.
Michigan.
I agree.
So
I agree 100%. Um, yeah, it did. It did. So the bowl games kick off on December 14th as we will see. Hold on. My computer just decided to freak out for a second. But it kicks off on December 14th as we got Jacksonville State, South Carolina State in the Cricket Celebration Bowl on ABC, noon kickoff. Eastern time, by the way, noon kickoff. Then you got December 14th, South Alabama, Western Michigan in the Salute to the Veterans Bowl. Then you got the Memphis Tigers taking on Western Virginia, aka West Virginia. Um, it's an actual late night kickoff, John. 9 p.m. Eastern, December 17th in the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl.
Very,
John, when you look at
very
just
good
a
coffee.
few first,
is it
yes,
now?
very, very good. All right, so
Hmm.
it is. So John, when you look at the first few games, right? I know a lot of fans are like, "Oh my God, why is this team playing so early?" Well, the playoffs start December 20th, folks. I mean, crap. It ain't like they start freaking New Year's Eve. But when you look at the first, few bowl games to get us in the spirit, I guess you would say. What are a couple games, John, that stand out to you?
Well, let me first say this. As a Memphis fan, are you really? I know people are disappointed in that West Virginia matchup because West Virginia is 6-6, but you're playing a Big 12 team. You're playing a town in Frisco, Texas, 45 minutes away from Denton, where Seth Hennigan is from. Plus, you haven't been to Frisco before in a bowl game, so that's something new. You're playing in an MLS soccer stadium that holds like 20,000 people. Yeah, you're playing on a Tuesday night because of travel, whatnot. You're also to buy out $650,000. But like, let's give Garden City Media and Devin Walker. I'm bringing up him because he made up some valid points why Memphis might be playing in the Frisco Bowl. One, you can jump on recruiting early. Two, like I talked about, Seth is playing from his hometown fans, 45 minutes away. And then three, you can jump on the transfer portal early also because players are maybe visiting campuses starting in January as well. I'll see where they want to go for second semester of classes as well. So if anybody wants to bash the Frisco Bowl because of that, they don't have a clue. But yeah, West Virginia, Memphis stands out to me because you're playing a Big 12 matchup. Yeah, it's a 6-6 team that don't have a head coach, but West Virginia still runs a lot of offense that can scare some people on the offense side of football. And then another game, let's do one more real quick, guys. I'll do Western Michigan and South Alabama. Yeah, but they're both 6-6. But I love Major Applewhite in South Alabama right now because they're high powered offense too throughout the year a little bit too.
Yeah, no doubt. Blake, what's your thoughts on the Big 12 Bowl? I mean, sorry, the game between BYU and Colorado.
I just was there not like y'all can help me out. Was there not another fit for any of those teams in another bowl? Like, did they
I
I
think
mean,
did it
that
have
that
to?
makes about as much sense as wiping before you poop.
also
Yeah,
God.
like
Also, I think what happened was they usually take the Pac-12. Remember, so there was only one
yeah,
Well, there were
Pac-12
two
team,
there.
right? But there's
yeah.
only with Oregon State having a losing record this year is probably why they have a
Throw them in there. Who
Big
cares?
12 versus Big 12.
I mean, isn't to me they should have put Oklahoma's in the Armed Forces Bowl. That was the extra of the random SEC team. BYU Colorado could have been like they could have made that swap. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, come on,
I would have
it's
loved
a
to have
conference
seen
game.
Colorado versus Army or
Yeah,
Navy, either one. That
yeah.
would have been fun to watch. Fun to watch. A lot of games stand out to me. I think it's going to be a very fun. college football bowl season. We're going to get into it. We're going to have bowl picks. John's going to keep up with the stats. I'm so excited. I know he's really excited.
Third down conversions, baby. Can't wait.
Well,
Yep.
you're at the
And
for Arkansas, you got to dive deep to find some players that are going to play in the bowl game. So,
All right. To answer that
you know,
question, what
don't want to give
to
away your
answer,
choke.
yeah, to answer you for Arkansas, why do you think a lot of players are entering the portal for Arkansas?
Because that's what every team
they,
does around the country.
yeah,
It's,
Right, but I'm
I
talking about
mean,
like you
it's
never
the new
seen
way.
like that many players from one
yeah.
team jump ship in like 2 weeks after saying Sam
Um,
Pittman's coming back.
well, one is money. Number two is money. Number three is money.
Okay.
The other one is the maybe playing closer to home. I know Has might go to Oklahoma. Uh, so Tanya might go to Texas A&M. His dad's the track coach at Texas A&M. So some things are just like family ties, but a lot of it I think has to do with money. The one I'm not happy with is Kudus because he he
Yeah.
went back on his word. He lied to Sam, and in March of this year he said he hates the Ole Miss Rebels. But yeah, I guess if you offer him enough money, you can start to love them.
Hey, he could be a Memphis Tiger for all we know too.
Yeah, yeah. So, but the problem
I mean,
is,
it's
so the problem is Arkansas kicked two of their tight ends off the team. So like, and now has is, I mean, that's the only issue to me is at the tight end position. Receivers, we can fill those in. I mean, it's not too big of an issue. It's a bigger, people are making it a bigger issue than what it really is.
well, people just look for things to
Yeah.
completely freak out about.
Mm-hmm.
How about this Iowa State Miami
I
match?
mean, like, I like that matchup, and we're going to talk about that next week or this week. But John, to your point on that Memphis bowl game,
Mm-hmm.
and shout out Devin, by the way. He's a hardworking sucker. Um, one of the best photographers in the city of Memphis, and I put Madison Pinky's work right there with it. Shout out Madison, by the way. Um, but John, when you look around the country, man, I mean, there's going to be bowl games everywhere. There's 48 bowl games, 47 bowl games, counting the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to be more. There's going to be expansion. I don't think the bowl games will get larger, but I think the expansion of the playoffs will be larger, obviously. But John, as we put a bow on this show or put a wrap on it, give me your final thoughts on the 2024 regular season.
Well, we talked about this in the last couple of weeks regarding coaching changes and some coaching changes that, well, coaching hires that kind of stand out to me. Your Barry Odom of the world is going to Purdue. Hopefully, Purdue will give some guys some time to get, because Barry Odom is going to a train wreck in Purdue right now. So hopefully, Purdue will give them some time and Barry Odom. Tulsa just made I think, a good hire, and they hired a Trey Lamb, a 35-year-old from East Tennessee State. Yeah, the East Tennessee State might have had down here at 7-5, but I think they made a good hire. This whole Marshall Southern Miss thing is a mess right now. I don't know what to believe because certain reports are saying, well, he didn't get a new contract. Some people were like, he was already going to jump ship anyway, that we didn't give him a contract. So it's going to be interesting next couple of weeks regarding who, like y'all brought up, who enters the transfer portal, who stays, and who goes. So I think they should have a deadline of that. I think they should have a deadline maybe by, let's say, by Friday. To me, they should have a deadline 2 weeks before their bowl. I know they don't announce the bowls until today, but they should have at least a week deadline of, okay, I'm not going to be playing my bowl game. So younger players can be adjusted to their offense without their star players, for example.
It's a good point. And I think kind of on that same. I think once revenue sharing starts coming into play in the next year or so, I think you're going to see a lot of things change in a sense of I don't think you'll see as many opt outs come bowl season. I don't think you're going to see maybe the players move around um, like we've seen in years past, Blake, because
Mhm.
I think revenue sharing is going to open some eyes to some universities, and it's already a transactional sport, right? We already know
Yeah.
that. We already understand that.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, it has to be it has to make sense. And we just talked about the realignment and how it's really boosted college athletics and athletics in general. And I think that's another thing that's going to continue to happen as we move to 20 or when you put a bow on 2024
Mhm.
2025 regular season. That's really what I've enjoyed watching is I kind of enjoy watching people eat crow. I don't know if y'all have noticed that. I really don't.
Yeah.
I just kind of sit back and
Mhm.
watch. I love it.
Did Ashton never do
And
that, by the way?
all the people, yes, oh yeah, he had barbecue sauce on it and everything. Um, so when you look around the country, and you see this in all these conferences that we just talked about a minute ago, right? The SEC, all you see is all, horns down, and I get that's the Arkansas thing. Horns down,
Mhm.
there's no way Texas is going to come in here. We are the SEC. It just means more. I'll be honest with you, Texas pretty well ran the conference this year until they ran into Georgia. Other than Georgia, no one could touch Texas. And Texas
Well,
is now Georgia's now the only
mm,
team to beat.
yeah,
I mean, my point is this:
yeah,
Georgia's now the only team to beat Texas twice in the same
yeah,
year since Texas A&M did it back in
yeah,
1909.
yeah,
Um, now, yes, Kentucky took Georgia Tech took them to
yeah,
8 overtimes.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying as far as in conference. I mean,
Mhm.
go ask Greg Byrne what he thinks. I mean, could we see Alabama leave the SEC because the conference is too hard? I mean, thank God Florida State didn't jump over there, John. Jesus, they
Not
may
yet.
not have won a game.
Not yet.
Um, I mean, yeah, exactly. Not yet, because we there's no telling what's coming on down the road. But as we close this show out, man, appreciate both you guys coming on with me tonight. It's been a fun hour. We do it each
Mhm.
and every Sunday here at Four Star Sports Media. We love talking college football. We love talking college athletics. This is going to continue to happen during college basketball season. May pick a different night. Uh, wouldn't mind doing it a little bit more with college baseball. Maybe a little college softball, a little mini show or something to cover those
Mhm.
two sports as well. Um,
Hey,
John,
I want to say this. Who's y'all's Heisman Trophy winner?
John, oh,
It's Saturday night. Don't forget.
oh, Ashton Genty. There's no question about it. It's Genty.
What about
Scooby
you,
Doo,
Ed?
right? Scooby Doo. No.
Yeah, I was gonna
Hey,
say Scatterboo
um,
is gonna win it for John.
you did the Heisman pose yesterday.
I'm torn. I'm
He
I'm
did.
honestly torn between Hunter and Genty because Here's the thing, Hunter honestly he's an average corner. Not I'm going. Anyways, he's average cornerback, average receiver, right?
He
Or above average cornerback, average receiver, whatever. Just because he plays two positions doesn't mean he has to win the Heisman. But I don't know. It's never been done either.
exactly.
That's
How
that's
many?
that's the issue.
Right.
How many people are going to New York? Y'all think? I think four.
Yeah,
Oh, I think they sent
yeah,
four. I think it's Genty. I think it's Travis
yeah,
Hunter. I think it's
yeah,
Cam Ward. And it's
yeah.
it's got to be Dylan Gabriel. And I think Dylan Gabriel, honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Dylan Gabriel didn't finish second behind Genty and then Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
He has been the quietest Heisman runner all
Yeah.
year. No one's talked about it. He's just quietly been winning all year.
And what's crazy is he did so well at UCF, and then he did so well at Oklahoma, and now he's doing so great at Oregon because he's so used to those speed up offenses that he's had the last 3 years or the last three schools that he's been at. So credit Dylan Gabriel, like you
Mhm.
said, because he's so fundamental sound where he don't turn the ball over as well.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. We'll be right back here tomorrow on the Sports Buffet as we talk more about this and plus some other sports as
Breaking
well.
news!
Blake
Breaking
Hogue will
news!
be back. Oh
Yeah.
Lord, hold on.
No, it is.
Blake Hogue will be back.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
I know it's not college
Go ahead,
football
John.
related, but it's Major League Baseball related. Juan Soto, 15 years for 765 million with the New York Mets.
Yep.
Not the
Wonder if
name I
he.
was expecting to be on the back end of that New York. Wow.
Yeah. Wonder if he's an
700.
Nice
Arkansas
breaking.
fan. Need some NIL money.
No players worth that much money in that contract. No,
Oh no, man. No, they're
it's
not.
like when Albert,
Um,
like when Mike Trout signed that 15-year deal, or not Mike Trout, somebody famous for the
yeah.
Angels.
Mm-hmm.
Look, at the end of the day, folks, just be careful. If John Sturdivant has your address, he will send a damn DoorDash to your house randomly. So you got to be careful with that. But I appreciate everyone watching and listening. I appreciate my dogs for freaking the hell out downstairs.
You said you were up
Um,
before the show started, so
I mean, here's the thing, man. Like, the wife's gone right now, so I had to go downstairs too. It was dirty. But I appreciate everybody watching and tuning in, man. We appreciate everybody. Head over to 4star.live now to check out all the content we've got consistent there. Like I said, John and I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back Wednesday for Tigers Den. Blake will be back Thursday for Hogs Happy Hour. Old DoorDash John down there will be back for his show later this week too. So y'all be good, behave, and as always, stay classy, folks.